Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum and good day. I am Lieutenant General Muhammad Haroon Aslam. I am a retired military officer from Pakistan Army. Today I am going to talk about the outbreak of hostilities between India and Pakistan in the aftermath of what happened at Pahalgam in Indian-occupied Kashmir. From the outset, let me emphatically state that my findings as a student of war studies and military strategy is that the Pahalgam terrorist action was a false flag operation masterminded by Indian deep state. However, I will give the circumstantial evidence and my logic in another session. Today I am going to mostly talk about the military aspects of this entire operation, which is called Operation Sindoor by Indians. Now, when the Indians conceived this plan, it was conceived in entirety with a game plan whereby Pakistan was to be targeted and brought down. What was the chief stimulus of Indians to launch such an operation and such a plan? There were certain basic considerations and fundamental assumptions. And first was that this is the time when the Pakistan was politically polarized and divided. This was the first assumption. It has a weak political government. Thirdly, the armed forces of Pakistan, particularly Pakistan Army, has lost its acceptance and popularity. Pakistan is economically down and under. Pakistan is faced with near political isolation, while the Indians thought that they are on the upward trajectory given their growing trade relations with China, with the Western world and USA. And while Pakistan's economy has really nosedived. And finally, the terrorism in Balochistan and parts of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, aided and abetted by India, has started to make an impact in tandem with whatever they were trying to do with Pakistan. About the military assessment, firstly, India thought that they have numerical and technological superiority in Air Force and in the other segments of Army and Navy. Indeed, there is a numerical superiority, but they were into a surprise as regards the technology and other things. And they thought in their assessment that Pakistan's response will be weak, and IF, along with the air defense capabilities, can inflict considerable damages to Pakistan. Now, all these factors, the basic considerations which they had in mind, along with certain assumptions, they all proved to be wrong. Here I would like to just mention one aspect, that when one goes through the military doctrine of India, one is compelled to think that it has started to gain inspiration from Israel, not realizing that the equation between Israel, the other Arab countries and Palestine is different from the equation between India and Pakistan. This is the fundamental flaw in the strategic thinking of India, I think. Now, what was the entire design of operation or the game plan what the Indians had conceived against Pakistan? First was to stage manage the false flag operation killings at Pahalgam and blame Pakistan. Now I am moving sequentially. Second, it was followed by aggressive diplomacy and telling the people that enough is enough with the terrorism of Pakistan. In fact, it was the old wine, not in the new bottle, but in the same bottle, but with a different label and timings perhaps. It was, the timings selected were very interesting. That the US Vice President once was visiting India, and Prime Minister Modi had planned his visit to Saudi Arabia. And this Pahalgam action happens when this diplomatic visits are going on. So this is to, when all the media, international media, American is focusing on India, where their Vice President is visiting, and in Saudi Arabia, which is an ally, brother country of Pakistan, they also seen, and they say, oh, this is something wrong which has gone. It's very interesting. And then what the design was that after conditioning, diplomatic, psychological, so these airstrikes into the civilian area, saying that these were the terrorist hubs, these were to be launched. They were launched. And it was assumed that Pakistan will accept this dent into its sovereignty as a new normal. And India was vying for this new normal, that they can target Pakistan across the international border at will. And other measures like water stoppage and as regards the suspension of Indo-Basin Treaty, this has been a long-standing desire of Prime Minister Modi, and he has mentioned it a number of times that they have to stop water and divert it for development of India, not realizing that when you are a member of the international committee, it is very difficult to do it against a low riparian country. And it was designed to inflict further losses as Pakistan responds, bring Pakistan to its knees and position itself as a confirmed regional bully. And when Pakistan is down and under, they thought that Pakistan will not have any international support. It will be declared an international pariah. And this is the time to bring Pakistan to its knees and get a kind of a treaty, not exactly like Treaty of Versailles, but something on 2-3 issues. One, few restrictions on its nuclear program, and second, about the terrorism and other concessions. Now, this was the game plan. Now, what happens thereafter? India was to face a total strategic surprise. What happened when India unfolded its design against Pakistan? India faced one of the biggest strategic surprises in the contemporary history, and particularly in the age of technology. And I have a book with me which is titled Strategic Military Surprise, Incentives and Opportunities. It was published in 1983, and I read it somewhere in 1984. It talks about the incentives and opportunities of strategic surprise in historical context. And it debates that whether it's possible to achieve, for a country to achieve strategic military surprise. And it was a questionable thing till what happened to India when it tried to conduct operations by its Air Force. And there are other things related to strategic military surprise. First was the response by Pakistan Air Force. They thought that with such large number of aircraft they would deter Pakistan Air Force to respond befittingly, and they'll be able to destroy the civilian targets across and get away with this. But as a shock, military shock, which is perhaps uncomparable, maybe you can relate it to Arab-Israeli wars, they lost their 5 aircraft. And 3 out of these were the latest pride of India, the Rafales. And then was the technology. They got a huge technological surprise. And the weapon systems. We have talked about PL-15. It is the modern and highly sophisticated missile. They never expected that the way they'll be targeted. And then, apart from strategic military surprise, the military surprise, all their assumptions, they proved incorrect. And I will take these one by one. They thought that Pakistan is politically polarized and divided. It was. It may have been. But not realizing that it is a Pakistani nation, we can be divided from within. There could be political polarization, there could be disturbances, but when it comes to India challenging Pakistan, then we gel as a one country. And second was that about the armed forces. Pakistan military, Pakistan army, and people have a long-standing bondage. It has seen the test of time, but Pakistan army lives in the hearts of the people and they love it. Second, they thought that Pakistan is economically down. Yes, we were, but that doesn't mean that you can come and kick open my door and come into my house. We'll kick you back. And then is that, which was a big geopolitical surprise to India, was that they thought that Pakistan is totally diplomatically isolated and they will be getting the complete support of the world. Shashi Tharoor, in one of his, he's an opposition member in the parliament, according to him, only Israel, France, and Russia, they sided with India. You thought that terrorism, which India is aiding and abetting in Balochistan and Khyber parts of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, this will create an impact. It did not. So what happened was that India was totally surprised and faced a strategic, military and geopolitical surprise. What is the end result? I think end result, I just bought, I have with me the famous book of The Art of War by Sun Tzu. I will read out a small paragraph. It says, as for military methods, the first is termed measurement, the second estimation of forces, the third calculation of numbers, the fourth relative strength, and fifth final victory. Unfortunately, and fortunate for Pakistan, you went wrong. And that's how India has lost in this conflict. How the things move on forward, we'll keep monitoring. Stay safe, stay smiling. Pakistan Zindabad.